Welcome everyone joining this webinar. Today's webinar will be focused on the French market, and we will be decoding the new PPE3 as well as discussing how to unlock the hybrid value. I will first walk you through the agenda of today. Yes, I will start with a quick introduction on Solarplaza, and then I will introduce our two speakers and experts of today, as well as then we will end the webinar with a general Q&A for which you can contribute, and I will explain how to do that. First, let's start with Solarplaza. If you are not familiar with what we do, we are a Dutch company established in 2004. We have organized more than 250 webinars, and in a lot of countries worldwide. You can see the red dots on the map. And our network is already has already more than 60,000 PV and BESS professionals. You can also find all of the information about what we do on our platform. Our platform is our website, www.solarplaza.com. There you can find all of the events we have planned for this year, in total 26 conferences in the making, as well as we have a network page. On that page, you have more than 4,500 organizations that are already listed and that have been part to our events, webinars, and everything we do. But you can also join and register there. You can find a BESS board. The BESS board is our marketplace where every company can drop like products, offers that they have, but they can also look and reply to these offers. And finally, the Academy. And the Academy, this is where you can find everything we've been producing from webinars to white papers over the past 20 years. Let's now go to practical notes. During the webinar, you might have questions for our experts, and I hope even you will have, because we will address them at the end of this webinar. In order to drop your question, please use the question box that is on the top right side of your screen, and I will moderate them at the end. Then, if you have any technical issues, we have a team there able to support you. Same, please drop any technical issues you're facing into the question box, and my colleagues will help you solving that. Finally, if you wonder if the presentation slides that you will see today, as well as the recording of this webinar, will be available, yes, and you will, as you've been registered, receive an email with instruction in the next 48 hours. That went maybe too fast. Yes. So this webinar is also linked to our event happening in Paris on the 3rd of June. Let me go back. This is, 3rd of June. I will show again the slide if it allows it. Perfect. There you have a QR code if you are interested in checking what that is and if you want to register. And we will have a whole conference focused on the market outlook, asset optimization, how to optimize your revenues, and also discuss how to finance your projects. Then now I will introduce our two speakers and experts of today, and I will have Sylvie and Aurélie joining. First, Sylvie Perrin. She is a partner at De Gaulle Florence, and she's specialized in energy and finance, advising banks, investors, IPPs, but also off-takers on everything related to the energy transition. She is also the founder and president of La Plateforme Verte, and La Plateforme Verte is an association bringing together already more than 220 stakeholders to contribute to the energy transition. Then we will also have Aurélie Vieillefosse. She is head of strategy and public affairs at Eclipse. Eclipse is a developer and operator of energy storage solutions. And she was also the former senior advisor within the French government, including deputy chief of staff to the Minister of Ecological Transition and advisor to the Prime Minister on climate and environment. She has a background as engineer from the French Corps of Bridges, Water and Forest, with deep expertise in shaping public policy and on energy, climate, and environmental transition. I will then welcome already Sylvie, who will be decoding the PPE3 for you. So Sylvie, yes.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Marjorie.
We will give you the remote access. Yes, and you will have your slides available just after.
Thank you.
You move to the...
Okay. So I will today, I'm very happy to be with you to present the multi-annual energy plan, which is in fact the French strategy for energy and climate. I'm trying to move the slide. Okay. So this has been a long time and work and debate, and we are about 2 years behind schedule for what we call PPE. It's the third multi-annual energy plan, and there's a decree which has been taken on 13 January, which sets out, in fact, the various energy sources and targets of the French government. This PPE will set the energy strategy for a period going from 2026 to 2035. Mostly, you have 3 strategic pillars in order to reach in 2050 carbon neutrality. You have, first of all, security of energy supply. Second, you've got the control of energy prices. And third, the fight against climate change. So the presentation, first of all, I will explain what is the role of PPE, what is the legal framework, probably some elements as to why it took so long to be finalized, some details of the guidelines concerning the PPA and the call for tenders, and also some of the conclusion I have on this market and forward-looking market conclusions. Okay, so the energy plan is something which is done in order to have an energy policy and to see forward as to what we want to have in the country. So there are the political guidelines and priority based also on what the European Union has put forward. The planning is made in order to establish some trajectory in terms of type of energy, quantities, etc. So, as mentioned, this, first of all, we have a carbon neutrality to be achieved by 2050. It's global and European, at the European level, goal to be achieved. Then we have also some measures as per energy efficiency, and so to develop anything which is low carbon energy. And we need to prepare France for a warming scenario, which is anticipated to be +4 degrees in 2100. So this will need a lot of adaptation for buildings, transportation, etc. So, legal framework. Sorry. Yes, you have, first of all, the international and the European legal framework. All of you've heard about the Paris Climate Agreement, which is a global forum where the countries decided to try to reduce global warming below 2 degrees, and then led to the European Green Deal, and then to the European Climate Law. The European Climate Law, it's really fixing some goals of reducing gas emissions by 55% in 2030, not compared to now, but compared to 1990. And of course, we have various directives which are on energy efficiency and also to promote renewable energies such as RED III. Then it has been implemented in the national legal framework, where you have various objectives of national energy policies. On the one hand, you have everything which is defined in the French Energy Code. And so you have, for example, a programming law which says that as from 2023, we'll have every 5 years thereafter some objective to be fixed. And we have also, on the other hand, the decree of PPE, which was taken recently and also implemented in in our code. The idea is to establish priority for action by public authority to organize production, consumption, support measure, etc. So why did PPE took so long to be finalized? Of course, it's for political reason, but not only. It should have been published 2 years ago. The delay was due certainly to some kind of chaotic process. First of all, we had the war in Ukraine that brought various issues concerning security of supply, sovereignty, etc., and difficulty also of France facing the nuclear fleet. The crisis led the government to decide on measures such as the tariff shield to protect consumer before being able to return to a normal planning. Secondly, PPE, as many of you know, in France has crystallized a strong political opposition. At each time you have a crisis, you see again the opponents between renewable energy and nuclear, and people think we should focus much more on nuclear and not on renewable energy, or on the other side, renewable energy being much cheaper than nuclear, you have again an opposition. So the majority you don't have a majority, in fact, in the parliament. So the absence of majority and the government decided to strike a balance for that. And then you have also the issue of the energy context, which has really complicated matter because you've had a generation capacity which has grown much faster than demand. And we thought that demand would be increasing with mobility and various aspects, which was not the case. So we didn't have the consumption we expected to have. So, what are the main details of the guidelines set by the PPAs and the different call of tenders? I will just explain the background. I will not go into much detail concerning all the sets of tender, but give the general idea. First of all, the PPE will have an objective to increase carbon-free energy production. And mostly, when you read the PPE, it's dedicated to electricity. The idea is really to go around a production which is going to increase fast, and mostly also to reduce fossil fuel, divided by 3 between 2023 and 2035. So it's about 12 years to divide by 3 our reduction in fossil consumption. And we see nowadays with the new crisis and what's happening in Iran, how important this is. The shift aim also to have really a switch in volume. For the time being, we consume about 60% from fossil fuel. The idea in 2030 will be to have 60% carbon-free and then increase that. So it's a reverse tendency we are looking at. The pathway is based on 3 different things. First of all, different source of energy generation. The PPE says nuclear, solar, and onshore. We'll see how they look at onshore wind and offshore wind and hydroelectricity, which are the main targets in the electricity program. It's also the development of low carbon alternative fossils. So there is a strong place made to biomethane, biofuels, etc. And it's also how to electrify end-use sector, so to move to the electricity rather than gas or other type of energy. Oop. No. Okay. Just a bit slow to move from one page to the other. Sorry for that. Targets. So the details, first of all, is certainly a strong focus on the nuclear power. We were planning before to decommission the existing reactors, and nowadays it's no longer envisaged. It's at the country envisaged to reinforce their use, to increase operation of the existing fleet, and also to extend duration of their use. Probably for at least 10, 15 years more for each of them as per the previous plan. In addition, there will be 8 additional units of new EPR2 reactors, probably with option to have more. That's the first target. Second target, on offshore and onshore wind and solar, there is not as such a moratorium, but what they called politically, and it's a nice word, reasoned continuation for onshore renewables. Solar is still in the target, which was on the previous PPE. It seems that the increase has reduced in terms of increase as per now, but it's still in the previously planned target because we have had enormous connection of PV plants from 2022 until 2025. So the increase was such that now we reduce the increase, but still remain in the same target for solar. For on wind, on the contrary, it's going to be diminishing if it's onshore wind, because the PPE wants to have something which will be more accepted. When they say locally accepted, they say also at the parliament level and to be more accepted. So they want to prioritize the repowering of existing wind farms. They want to accelerate third offshore wind. However, even though they want to reach, I think, yes, a target of 18 gigawatt, it has been pushed back by some years because we have issues of notably grid connection constraints. So it's more, connection constraint that will not allow such the acceleration to be as much as what France wanted to do. And next point is the relaunch of hydropower. Hydropower is a very strong source of renewable electricity in France. They want to target additional 2.8 gigawatt-hour, including pump storage also. And so there will be some changes in terms of, frameworks, of new frameworks from concession, etc., in order to boost investment into this sector. Okay, so first of all, few words, but I will be quite brief on that concerning the electricity sector. Just one thing to remember: until 2028, we'll have about a bit less than 3 gigawatt, and after 2028, the intention is to have 2 tenders per year, apart from ground-mounted, and also 3 tenders per year of 300 megawatts, so half for built-mounted solar. That's mostly it, and it will include self-consumption. The only element we don't know yet is, because it's not yet mature in public debate, it's agrivoltaics. We don't know what portion will be dedicated for it. Okay, that's probably the main aspects today on that. What will happen to agrivoltaics? Oop. So what we have seen, we are going to see in the next few weeks many tenders, new tenders. The first one, which is interesting, was the PPE for PV on buildings tender. So that's everything that concern, various rooftop PV which exceed 500 kilowatts. All developers have to finalize their tender by the end of this month. There will be the period allocated 300 megawatts. What is interesting in that, I just wanted to mention it, is that there is an eligibility for individual and self-consumption plants, with only the surplus benefiting for the surplus tariff in this case, and probably also something which is the requirement to hold a planning permission, which is fully enforceable. So it means that you need to deposit it without any condition precedent. That's an important point. So another thing, I put some numbers, but I will not be long because I think I have spoken almost for the 15 minutes which were given to me. You will see in the presentation given to you some elements concerning the offshore, onshore wind, electricity tender, when they will be coming, and what is the what are the capacities for it. And another element of the PPE is what is also shown on non-electric sector. There will be some input on biofuel in transport, renewable heat, which has been a request of long time of the various French syndicates, hydrogen with installed electrolysis capacity, and there is really a significant progress on biomethane. So that's something to be looked at, because we see that clients are now focused also on biomethane. This slide is just to show you mostly the estimated, the aim to reach an estimated demand in 1618. There is an initiative to promote electrification. As you have heard, there is a mission granted to two persons, Mission Lévituo in France, in order to give some background on how to provide and ensure stronger electrification in France. The mission is still going on, and in April we should get soon the result of the conclusion how to electrify further the country. I will go directly to the conclusion now to leave some space to my colleague. Oop. Yes, so few things to remember. First of all, this PPE is a good thing because it ends long period of uncertainty and we have some visibility, which is important for all the market, investors, developers. Second, we have a tighter budgetary trajectory, so we should really promote corporate PPAs and go forward because we need to go to the private market as soon as possible. There is some issue about the review clause in 2027. It's not much of a problem because anyway, we don't have majority at the parliament. We don't know what will result from the election next year. So anyway, whether we have a review clause or not, it will be reviewed if the new government wants to review it. So it will allow also to maintain, to adapt. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. We have also industrial and economic benefits. PPE also presented a reindustrialization strategy. So that's an important thing and hope it will be followed. Probably the legal fragility is the absence of energy planning law, which would be very useful in France. Thank you very much. You'll get the slides so you can read everything about it. Sorry for being late already.
All right, thank you very much, Sylvie. Yes, and thank you, Sylvie. And just a quick reminder for the people following us on this webinar, you have on the top right the question box, and you can drop any question you had on the previous presentation, as well as any question that might come up when you will hear Aurélie today. So once again, thank you now, Aurélie. Aurélie Vieillefos, she is Head of Strategy and Public Affairs at Eclipse. I leave you the floor, and we meet afterwards for the Q&A.
Hello, everybody. I'm Aurélie Vieillefos, and I will talk today about hybridization and storage, and I will show you where the value is shifting at the moment in the power market and how batteries transform renewable economics. Next slide, please. So I'm working for Eclipse, which is quite a young company and which is specialized in storage. We only do storage, and we have basically two activities. We have a tech platform that is live and that is able to trade on the electricity market and have the link between the electricity market and the battery on the ground. And so we work with IPPs and we operate their batteries for them. And we also have our own pipeline of projects, and we have 600 megawatt in the pipeline, which is approximately 1,200 megawatt hour. We are recognized a balanced responsible party and balanced service provider in France and Belgium, which enable us to operate on the electricity market. We raised 25 million euros in funding, and one of our main investors is the bank BNP. And currently, the team is comprised of 25 professionals. Next slide. So today I will talk about the structural shift in power market. Then I will explain the battery value stack, and we will finish on hybrid assets, and I will show you how you can create value. Next slide. So as Sylvie was explaining, we have had a really strong growth of renewable in the French mixed, and especially in solar. If you look at the figure, you see that solar has increased by 5 since 2016. And in PPE3, as Sylvie explained, the pace is expected to continue with approximately 3 gigawatt per year, at least in 2026 and 2027. We see that it is starting to create a problem on the system because negative prices are increasing. You see that on the figure on the right, where you see that in 2025, we have had 513 occurrence of negative price in France, and it is really increasing. This is problematic because it means that a lot of electricity is curtailed, and I put you the figure on the slide. Last year, we have had 1,560 gigawatt hour curtailed. If you want to have an idea of how much energy this is enough electricity to power 600,000 vehicles for a year. So this is a lot of electricity that is lost. Next slide, please. If we move abroad in another country, and the one that has the most batteries in the world is California, you can see on this graph, this is the generation profile of California in March 2026. And I put in purple the batteries. And so they are charging during the solar peak between 12 to 4, and they discharge starting at 6 until 9. And this is what you see on purple on the graph. And the figure is really impressive because at 7 p.m., you have 9 gigawatts of batteries that are discharging in the system. So this is really a lot of energy. And you see that battery enable turn intermittent generation into dispatchable power. So this is really interesting and important. Next slide, please. So on this graph, we're back in France, and I show you because I thought the figure was talking by itself. You see the spot price between 10 and 4 in the afternoon, which was 0 in France on the 23rd of March. So negative prices are coming earlier and earlier. And this really shows you the problem we have in our system at the moment. Next slide, please. And we also have a lot of volatility. So this graph is the spread, so the difference between the highest and lowest price. And what you see on the 3 spikes you see, they are the spikes that are higher than 100. And so this graph was taken end of December, beginning of January. And you see you had 3 spikes higher than 100. And if you look at the tendency, it was 1,300 hours with a spread higher than 100, and in last year it was 1,800. So this is really increasing, and every time you have spread, it means you have values for battery. Next slide, please. And this slide, so it's not from me, it was taken from RTE, which is also trying to explain the situation. And so this slide shows you the average price in September and October 2025. And you see that between 7 to 10, the average price is 90. Then between 10 to 6, the average price is 33. And then you're back to high price between 6 to 9. So this really shows you what is happening on the spot market. And this is how battery make money at the moment. Next slide, please. So if now we're moving to the battery revenue stack, and so you have multiple revenue streams for battery. So the first revenue stream comes from grid services, and Eclipse is a reserve provider. So Eclipse is entitled to trade on this market. So you basically have 3 different markets. FCR, which is first reserves that start immediately when there is a problem on the network. And this was historically the main source of revenue for batteries. Then you have AFRR, which starts with an activation delay of 300 seconds. And at the current moment in 2026, AFRR is the main source of revenue for batteries. And you also have MFRR. Those 3 markets are European, and that is why I put a little European flags. You have also emerging markets that do not exist in France, but that exist elsewhere in Europe. For example, a market for black start, for inertia, reactive power. They exist in Germany. They are not a source of revenue in France, but maybe in the future. Next slide, please. So this graph, I put it to show you AFRR. And you see sometimes AFRR has a really strong spike. And this spike was on the 23rd of March. And that is also opportunities for revenue for batteries. Next slide, please. So if we continue on the battery revenue stack, we also have the capacity market, and all the obligated parties have to participate in the capacity market. This is the market for the day when it's very cold and RTE needs a lot of power to sustain the network. So you have basically 22 days where RTE pay you to give your capacity to the network and to avoid a blackout when there is a lot of demand on those days. And the last revenue stack for battery will be market trading on the electricity market. So in order to do market trading, you need to be a balanced responsible party. This is the case for Eclipse. And we are entitled to trade on the day ahead and the intraday market. And it will be interesting in France to trade when the spread exceeds 70 euro per megawatt hour. because we have some fixed costs like the turb or the cost of the batteries. So when the spread exceeds 70 euros, it is interesting to trade. And so in order to remunerate your battery, you need to be able to trade on those three markets and to make arbitrage optimization and to choose every day on which market you are going to make money. Next slide, please. So I put you, those are the figures that are public, and they are clean horizon figure. I think probably everybody in the room knows them, and they show you what clean horizon expect for revenue for battery in the coming years. And you see that the IFRR revenue, which is the main source of revenue in 2026, is expected to decrease because there will be more and more batteries on the system. But on the other hand, trading, day-ahead trading and intraday trading is expected to be a source of revenue for battery even in 2040. And this is on those assumptions that most of the IPPs are making their BPs at the moment. Next slide, please. So if we move to hybrid assets, so there are basically two types of hybrid assets. The one that are gray collocated, but that they are on the same side, but the PV and the battery have their own meters. And you can be green collocated with only 1 meter, and everything is integrated. Today, we will mainly talk about gray collocated. And for those who are familiar with the French system, it is the S9 scheme. Next slide, please. So you have a lot of benefits for collocation. The first benefit is that you should have a lower capex per megawatt because you share the land, you share the infrastructure, the operational expenses. You make a better use of the grid connection because a battery standalone does not use a lot its grid connection. So if there is a PV, you use it better. And it is interesting in terms of TURP because when your PV inject in your battery, you do not pay TURP, so you benefit from the TURP discount. And you diversify your revenue by combining multiple technology. So hybridization improves project economics and bankability. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, but no, sorry, back here. But in practice, we see that it's complicated to have a hybrid project coming out from the ground, and they are harder to build at the moment in France. And so the reason why it is still difficult to have a hybrid project is that you increase project complexity. Everything will be more complex from contracting to financing. The construction will be more complex, the testing, the energization requirement. And the other reason is that it is really a shift in terms of business model because people building a PV plant were used to having long-term fixed revenue with the tender of the CRE. And with battery storage, you have very little guaranteed revenue, which means when you discuss with your bank, you really need to train them and to make them understand how the battery will make money and the risk that the bank is taking. So these are the reason why at the moment hybrid projects are more complex. Next slide, please. So to sum up, with a standalone battery, you have higher upside, higher risk. With a collocated battery, you really need to look for site-wide return. And you have more stable revenue. So you have two models that are a bit different, but both models are interesting. And at the moment at Eclipse, we optimize both types of models. Next slide. And this will be my final slide. So the questions that you need to ask yourself if you're interested in hybrid storage. What should be the size in megawatt of my battery if I have a PV plant? What duration of battery should I choose? 2 hours, 4 hours? At the moment, the standard of the market is 2 hours. And also, what is my capacity to tackle more complex projects? And will I be able to carry this project until the end? And I will finish with that, and I'm open to question with Sylvie. Thank you very much.
Yes, joining you again. Thank you very much, Aurélie. Sylvie, perfect. If we can have you both. We received a few questions, and you can keep dropping them on the side as we still have quite some times remaining for those able to stay longer. So we will start with a few questions already, and maybe let's start a bit first with regulation and the first part. We have so already a question on the Net Zero Industry Act. Do you have the timeline information regarding application?
Timeline? No, I don't have that. I can check and look at, but I don't have the time. Let me take some notes, because then I can, if I have very precise question like that, I will need to check. So it's timeline for Nero. Okay. Enzelia.
And then, given the increasing number of negative price hours, do you expect regulatory intervention to protect renewable assets, or is the intention to force the flexibility in investment?
Well, certainly the second, to make sure flexibility comes in. But I think now when you speak with the authority, they also have a very good idea that they don't need to support flexibility, because as such, it's already very profitable. So I think Eclipse has a great business to do. So no, the issue will be most, at least on the strategy side, to make sure they are not going to impede soon flexibility. But flexibility as such should be a great element to support it. So that's my view, at least. I don't know, Aurélie, if you share that.
Yeah, no, in addition, lots of measures have been taken to try to decrease that negative price. So nowadays, the government has the possibility to stop solar plants to avoid going into very deep negative prices. Mm-hmm. So this is really something that is evolving. And with the shift in Earth plan, it will also progressively, it should enable us to keep the problem manageable, because if it increases, again, this will be a very big problem for everybody. So we need batteries, we need all the form of flexibilities.
All right. So is this also like in terms of tenders? Do we expect in the coming months or even 2 years that there will be tenders more for the hybrid side?
So there is a note of the CRE, which was published about 10 days. So everybody is looking at it. So the CRE is really pushing for tenders, for hybrid tenders. And she made some proposal with 3 scenarios, but at the moment, we don't know yet what the intention of the government is, and if they will launch an hybrid tender, and in what calendar. We expect it, but it is not confirmed yet.
Okay. All right. Also, would the BESS for co-located project eligible for capacity market under PPE3? So I guess this is linked to the tenders again on that one.
If you can repeat it, sorry, the question.
Yeah, I think this is also linked to the tenders. Will the BESS for co-located project eligible for capacity market under PPE3? Mm-hmm. So let's move to the other one. We have also some question linked to your presentation, Aurélie. I think this one was linked to the slide that you show on volatility. What is the hour range utilized to calculate the spread in the chart? but the chart is not open, so
okay.
just
This chart was taken from Eclipse newsletter, and I encourage you to subscribe to it because, but I don't have this level of precision, but you can find it public on the Eclipse newsletter.
All right. We also have, could you please comment on the FCR and AFRR price evolved in the last 12 months?
So FCR was really the main source of revenue. And for example, for early movers in batteries like NW Group, it was a very important source of revenue. But I put on my presentation the size of the envelope, and the FCR envelope is about 600 megawatt. And at the moment, we have 1,500 megawatt of batteries. That is why we have too much competition on the FCR reserve. And the IFR reserve, I also put you the envelope on the presentation, and it depends on the time of the year, but it's between 500 1,000. So we see that with 1,500 megawatts of batteries, we are going to saturate this envelope in the coming months here. We don't know exactly when.
Yes, I have a question after link to your newsletter, Aurélie, coming in. So if you can maybe drop in the chat for all of the people in this, if you can drop the link where to register for that. So people are active directly on this. So yes, also maybe do you expect saturation in services like FCR and AFRR as more batteries come online in France?
Yes, that's what I explained. Yeah.
So but then where do you think after the next value will be? Only on trading?
Yes, that's why I put the clean horizon graph, because with the tendency of solar, there will be space for intraday trading and day-ahead trading, even in 10 years, as long as we have a solar, and that solar has a very big production between noon and 4 in the afternoon. There is a need for battery, and that is what you see in California.
And regarding batteries, right now you said it's mainly 2 hours batteries being used, but in terms of what's coming next in a short-term, mid-term future, do you think long-duration batteries will be like the next trend, or how do you anticipate that at Eclipse?
We hope so, but I think at the moment, the standard of the market at the moment is 2 hours. If we want to, at the moment, what we told the government is that we don't need subsidies, but maybe if we want to go to longer storage, we may need some form of incentive, and I think it is not completely ready yet.
Okay, maybe Aurélie, a question for you, because some clients coming back to China say we may jump the 4-hour battery because Chinese are working very fast on the 8-hour battery, which is finally the maximum trend in order to have 100% PV, you know. So they think that probably the 4-hour will be dropped quite soon and go to the 8 hours once China has been able to develop many of these batteries, and the trend should be coming up in the next 4 years. But I don't know if it's the elements and confirmation you have to.
I think we don't have a crystal ball, but what we see is that in the UK it is quite interesting because they launched a tender on long-term energy storage, and so they didn't choose the final project, but you see the selections that they make, and it's quite interesting to see the type of projects that have been selected.
Yes.
Yeah, and then maybe Sylvie, if PPE3 is successfully implemented, how do you think the market in France will look like in the future, in like 2030?
Well, I think there will be certainly a kind of reduction in the IPP model. You have a large company who have already large and strong assets. They will remain there. You have others which are disappearing now because they are small and don't have the backbone in order to sustain this reduction. And they don't have internal possibility to do it. So certainly the larger or medium size and also the more innovative IPP. And they are not necessarily the largest, but the largest and the more innovative will succeed in that. So you'll have a reduction, and we'll see it because this market is very much oriented on M&A these days. You have a sale of project, purchase of project, of companies, etc. And you will have probably my feeling is that either the more innovative pass on to flexibility more, but we cannot see battery and flexibility as an additional element. It's a central element today. So probably stockers will be more advanced because they go fast, they are slim, and they are efficient. So the idea would be who will win between the IPP and the storage model, and will the storage be the main element in order to give the efficiency brick to the IPP model. That's what I see in 2030, a real change of model. Okay. Based on IA2, because as you see, you have the emergence of blockchain tokenization that will completely change also the energy market.
Thank you, Sylvie. Two last questions maybe, and then we will end with this webinar. For Aurélie, this one is BESS project of 250 megawatts in France, considering the FCR limitation. Is it a sustainable business case?
Well, as I said, every project needs to go to the bank and convince the banks to finance it. So at the moment, I think the banks are taking conservative assumption, and most of the proposal and the models that are made, financial proposal, are made under the assumption that the main source of financing will come from intraday and day-ahead trading. And our belief at Eclipse and of most of the actors in France is that there is a space and a need for that shifting the energy during the day, like in California. And we are at 1 gigawatt of batteries at the moment. California is at 9. So even though we have hydropower, there is some space for batteries.
All right. But then I think, yeah, we are. Let me check again if any remaining questions, because the other one was in fact done. Yeah. So I think we're good with this webinar for today. Thank you very much again, Sylvie and Aurélie, for sharing your expertise and helping like all of the players about what PPE3 means and how to work with this environment that needs more hybrid projects for the future. And once again, just a reminder for those who join a bit later, we will have on the 3rd of June in Paris, the Solarplaza Summit France, focused on PV and storage, where we'll tackle again all of these topics, including additional topics on revenue strategies, financing, etc. So thank you very much for joining, and have a very nice day, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Marjorie and Solarplaza and Aurélie. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.